Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm JP Tong, and welcome to today's program, Detox Your Mind. Today, I'll be talking about a very popular topic. It's love for others. This topic has been spoken about and even written. There's so many thousands of books that's been written about love and helping everyone understand what real love is all about and why it is that it is so important for us to be operating out of true love. Okay, so today I will explore what exactly is love, what this is all about, and why is it important to understand that perhaps the way that we love others is uh, not a way that will benefit us and ultimately benefit the people whom we express our love and care towards, and what would be a healthier way or beneficial way of loving others. Okay, so love. What is love all about? Now, we always say that we should always love others unconditionally. Now this is actually very difficult. I've spoken to many people and they always ask me, how do you actually love someone unconditionally? You see, but first of all, understand what love is. So love is accepting accepting others whether or not you agree with their habits or you disagree. It's the entire package. So do we accept? We may not agree, but can we accept? So love also requires you to accept. Okay, I didn't say agree, but accept. That's one. Love also means that when you show love to someone, it also means that you care. You care, you want to show your kindness to that person, and you want to, and because of your relationship with this person. I'm talking about love in general, okay? In general, then I will talk about different types of relationships, but for now, just love in general for others. So when we are unconditional, when we say yes, I love you unconditionally, so it entails acceptance. It also entails you to be supportive of whatever decisions it is that they make. Again, you may not agree, but if that is the decision that they want to make for whatever it is that they want to do, when we love others, yes, we'll be by their side and we will support them regardless of whether or not we agree. Okay, as long as they take responsibility for whatever it is, whatever choices it is that they make for themselves. So these are just some of the examples of what loving unconditionally means. Now, a lot of times when we say we love others, a lot of times, whether or not we realize it or not, it always comes with expectations. Okay, so if I show some care for you, if I support you, then it has to be on my terms. And a lot of times we would like some sort of an acknowledgement. We would want them to reciprocate our care and love for them. And well, for certain people, they may want it for certain personal gain. So if I show care for you, then perhaps you may, if I need anything, then I would expect you to be there to support me. So there's so many terms and conditions based on your love for other people. So take some time to think about it. Think of all the relationships that we've had. Relationships can be your friends, your family, your loved ones, your colleagues. It can be even your pet, for example. And really self examine when you love a being, what types of conditions do you have? What type of conditions? So when you start thinking about it, most likely it is conditional, most likely. And also, when we tend to love someone, especially those who are related to ourselves, such as our parents, our family, our siblings, our children, because of that relationship, there is that the emotional connection, and because of that, our love is even more conditional. Because why? Well, yes, your intentions can be very good. I'm sure they're all very good. There are many, many times I've spoken to others, and even I even catch myself doing this, where we see one of our family members or relatives, and when they do something that we feel, I think there is a better choice to make, or there's a better way of doing things. And and out of care and love, we would share with them, we would tell them, or, advise them, this is a better way of doing it, out of love, out of care. And when they don't do it, when they don't follow our advice, we get very irritated, very aggravated, and that irritation builds up to anger in certain instances. So again, that is being conditional, because we have this expectation that that when we care for you and spend that effort to think about it, to try to help you solve whatever issues that you have at hand, out of love and care, we would expect you to listen. Now, see, that is an expectation. That is an expectation of our love. I'm not saying that our intentions are not good. They are good. They are good. But just realize that it is very, very conditional. Very, very conditional. And when you self examine and when you contemplate on a deeper level, you will also realize that all these expectations arise from a certain level of fear and insecurity within us. Within us. Because you know why? Because true love, real love, okay? Real love. I don't want to say true love, because true love has this connotation of intimacy. I'm talking about love in general, where you have your normal relationships with others, okay? Real love is unconditional. Unconditional. It is very tough for many people, because a lot of us have a lot of fears and insecurities. And hence, a lot of times we may say, oh, yeah, I am operating out of unconditional love. But when our loved ones do not do what we advise them to do, we get very, very irritated. And we would actually expect them to follow our advice, and it affects the relationship very much so. So think about it. And even for people whom we have an intimate relationship with, even that, I mean, that is even more difficult to say that, you're going to love the person unconditionally. That is even more difficult, because if the person does not reciprocate the way you want them to reciprocate, okay? So think about it. When they do not reciprocate the way you want them to reciprocate, okay, that's where all hell breaks loose. All hell breaks loose after a while, okay? And that's where the relationship turns sour, because they do not conform to your idea of a loving relationship, And I'll go into that more afterwards. Okay, so why is it important to operate out of unconditional love? Why? It's because our mind is naturally a ball of, it's a ball of energy that is compassionate and having unconditional love. That is the innate aspect or quality of our mind. And that is why when we do charity, I always like to use this example. When we do charity and we go out and we help others whom we have no idea who they are, but we help them without any agenda. We don't want any acknowledgement. We don't need them to say thank you, but we know that they need that help. Okay, no judgment. We help regardless because everyone has a reason why they are in a position where they need our help. So, and when we help, when we assist them, we actually feel very good. We feel very satisfied. We feel very fulfilled. And that is because we are reconnecting with our true, authentic self. True, authentic self. And many of you may say, but I don't think I can do charity. It's okay. Because perhaps all your life you've never done anything of that nature. So again, because our mind works in a way that if you do something consistent enough over the years, it develops into a habit. It develops into a habit. So when you want to break that habit and you want to reconnect with your authentic self, you still have to break that habit and actually do things that are selfless in nature. When you do that consistently, okay, maybe once a week for the next 6 months, and then you can increase that to twice a week for the second 6 months, and so on and so forth. And when you develop that consistency, it will become easier and easier and easier. And that's how you do it. So always remember this: our mind tends to grasp on how frequent we do certain activities, and it will develop into habits. And that's why it becomes automatic after a while. It becomes easier and pretty much effortless. That's how it is. So if there's any new habits that you want to develop, you want to create for yourself and you want to develop, the initial few months will not be easy because you're introducing a new habit. But you just keep going at it because you know deep down that it's good for you. Okay, so that is why for some of you who find it very difficult to love without an agenda, to love unconditionally towards others, it may be a struggle because of that. So I need to highlight that because that is a very, very common feedback that I get. Okay, when I speak to people. So now, and that's the main importance, is to connect back to our true self, to our real self. And when we do that, and when we operate from that, from our true nature, we feel very peaceful, we feel very satisfied, we feel very fulfilled. Now, isn't that a wonderful feeling to have? Okay, so the fear will always be there, and what is that? The fear is always, but what if people take advantage? What if people take advantage of my unconditional love and care? And I always ask them, what have you got to lose? Just because somebody takes advantage of your love and care, what have you got to lose? Well, maybe you lost your time spent with that person. Well, maybe you give them gifts, you give them a free meal. What have you got to lose? And that's something to think about because a lot of times there's a fear that people may take advantage of our kindness, Okay, so at the end of the day, if you feel that, okay, well, you're right, there's really nothing much to lose except that I may not trust this person again. It's okay. It's okay because why? Because it is their own Is, you see, when people take advantage of someone's unconditional love and kindness, is because of their fears and insecurities. It's their fears and insecurity that they need to take advantage of somebody who's genuinely nice. But you see, think about this. Why do we need to change ourselves to be someone else just because somebody is taking advantage of us? Just because someone is not nice to us, it doesn't mean we need to not be nice. Okay, so again, if somebody is not nice to us, we do not need to change ourselves to be unnice. It doesn't make sense. Something to think about and contemplate, okay, during your free time. Okay, especially now in Malaysia, we're going through a lockdown. Well, this is the best time to sit comfortably on your sofa and think about what I've said, you know, and identify what your fear is, what your fear ultimately is about. Okay, and I always, during the workshop, I always walk through with all the participants, and they say, oh, okay, well, I'm afraid that it's such as this, oh, I'm afraid that they'll take advantage of me. And I said, okay, so what happens after they take advantage of you? Well, I don't like that feeling. Okay, so what happens after you don't like the feeling? Well, I feel that, you know, I'm dumb, that how come I am so weak? Okay, so what happens after you feel that you're dumb and you're so weak? So if you keep asking yourself, so what happens after that? You actually get to the crux of your perceived fear. Okay, the crux of your perceived fear. And as the saying goes, fear is an acronym for, what is it again? Fact appearing as, no wait, FEAR. Fact appearing, oh wait, I forgot. It's something appearing as real. Okay, or false experience appearing real, something like that. So fear is a false experience appearing real. That's what it is. So, and that's the bottom line, because everything is in the mind. Everything, our emotions are all in the mind. And I'm sure you're going to say, but I can't help it. You know, I have been taken advantage of. I don't like the feeling, and so on and so forth. That I understand. I understand. But if we really want to detox the mind, we want to have clarity of the mind, then focus on what you need to do, and that is to reconnect to the real self. Reconnect to your authentic self, which is selfless of nature and which is unconditional love. Okay, when you do that, and when you do it, take it step by step by step by step, baby steps, as I say, take baby steps, you will get there. You will get there, and regardless of what people do or whether or not they appreciate you or not, it doesn't matter. Of course, if people take advantage of you, then out of compassion and out of love, you tell them, I know what you're doing, stop it. And if they don't stop it, then that's it, you just walk away. So just because you operate out of unconditional love, it doesn't mean that you are dumb. Okay, lack of a better word. You don't allow people to continue taking advantage of you, because if you do that knowingly, then you are actually not compassionate. You are actually encouraging that negative habit, and reinforcing it. So that's not an act of compassion. Okay, that is something else, which I'll talk about in another day. Okay, so when we care for others and love for others unconditionally, what does that really entail? So it entails some sort of loyalty, compassion, genuine care, sharing, respect. Okay, we tend to forget that respect is something that is what is necessary, because otherwise, if you don't respect the person, although you say you love the person, you will always be looking down on them. Okay, so think about it. When you're in a relationship with your friends, it can be platonic or intimate, doesn't matter. When you don't have the respect, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. And a lot of times the relationship will turn sour because the respect is not there. You always feel, the person is not, doesn't have what it takes, and and always make the wrong decisions, and it always boils down to you not really respecting the person, and that is why at the end of the day the relationship doesn't turn out as well. So think about it. Okay, there are many reasons. I'm just sharing with you some of these common reasons. And last but not least, honesty in any type of relationship. Honesty is very, very important. If you're not honest, the person in front of you is not honest, then what is this relationship based on? So loving someone or loving others unconditionally will always entail honesty. Okay, honesty to share your feelings, honesty to share your thoughts, and so on and so forth. And if honesty is not there because of fear, because of your insecurity, again, there will be there will be consequences as a result. All right, do we have any questions so far? Yes, Li King says it's false emotions appearing real. That's it. Thank you so much, Li King. False emotions appearing real. All right, so while other type of relationships would be intimate relationships, all right, with your partner, with your spouse, okay, and even not just intimate relationships with your children, your family, okay, people who are very close to you. It's very difficult. I know. It's very difficult to love them unconditionally. Very, very difficult. Because why? Because of the emotional part of us that are attached to them. And a lot of times when we love the people around us whom we care about very much, especially those who are biologically linked to us, we usually close one eye because we have a soft spot. We have a soft spot. And every time when this person does this, you kind of melt and you give in. So again, we have to ask yourself, is that unconditional? Is that really unconditional love? Are you loving them the way they should be loved? Okay, because don't forget, when we love someone, what does it actually mean? It means that you want to make sure, or you will try your best to make sure that this person experiences a lot of joy and happiness, and most importantly, to fulfill their highest the highest potential, to fulfill the highest potential, with or without you. That's the key here. With or without you. A lot of times when we love someone, we always want to be with the person and we hold on to the person for whatever reasons. Okay? That you have to check your mind. And out of love, we want to cling on to them. We want to see them all the time. And if they don't clock in, clock in a certain time, we freak out. Oh, where were you? Da da da, and so on and so forth. So we have to check in with ourselves. So what is this? What is this relationship all about? Okay, so this is especially tough when it comes to intimate relationships and relationship with people whom we are biologically linked, connected. Okay, so, and in many, many times when you get it, when you realize that your love for these intimate relationships and people who are biologically related to you, your love most of the time is conditional, and you just cannot help it. You just cannot help it because, well, again, fears and insecurities. Okay? You may not agree with me right now, but check your mind. Check your mind. Just think back. Every time when your relationships turn sour or becomes very challenging, what has it always been about. Okay? In general, it's always about the person not reciprocating your love and care. It's always about them not listening to you, although your intentions are good. So it's about them not conforming to your expectation. And that's the bottom line. Okay, I'm speaking in general terms, okay? I'm sure there are other exceptions, but just in general. So that's why we need to take a step back and take a look at whether or not our so-called unconditional love is really unconditional. Something to think about. Okay? So when you go into a relationship, so let's talk about intimate relationships. So when you are in an intimate relationship, first of all, never go into an intimate relationship because you want that person to complete you. Okay? Nobody can complete you. You are complete already. Any type of emotional void can never be completed. It is something inside of you. It is something inside of you, some emotional scar that needs to be healed, something that you need to let go of. So no one out there can heal that. Only you can do that. Only you can do that. So always remember that. And every time when you go into any sort of intimate relationship, always ask yourself, what is your intention of going into this intimate relationship? And be very clear. Be very clear, what is it? Because why? In any form of relationship that you want to have, always remember, it is already so difficult to handle ourselves. Okay? It's already so difficult to manage ourselves and our insecurities and our fears and all that emotional baggage that we all have. Okay? All of us have a certain level, a different level, of insecurities and fears and emotional baggage. Okay? It's already so difficult to manage ourselves. So when you invite another being into your space, always remember this. It is double the challenge. Double the challenge. All right? So what am I saying? I'm not saying that you don't go into an intimate relationship, but be very clear. Be very clear. It is not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. Any relationships, be it platonic, be it intimate, it requires a lot of work and a lot of effort. Okay, so for those of you who are always chasing after relationships, intimate relationships, well, it's time to really take a step back and ask yourself, what is that all about? Why that urge? Why that craving? Why that longing? What is it about you that you think you need other people to heal you or to complete you? Okay, complete you. That is all a myth. So check in. So once you are very, very clear that, yeah, okay, you would like a companionship, you would like to have somebody in your life to walk, your life's journey with, so that you can share and you can empower the other person to also fulfill the highest potential. When you have that intention, okay, when you have that intention, the chances of that relationship succeeding is much higher, because it's not about you and your needs. It's about focusing on that person's needs and that person's highest potential. And because of you, you have actually, and because of you, the person can actually fulfill their highest potential. So whether or not eventually they fulfill it with you or without you, that is something that you will realize that you cannot hold on to. Okay, because sometimes out of love, it is better for you to not be with that person. Okay, out of love for that person, sometimes it is wiser or it is better to not physically be together. You see, that is what real love is all about. So real love is not about always clinging on to that person. Okay, so think about it and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so, and that is why I always suggest to people spend time alone. If you are comfortable and you are at peace and you are happy spending time by yourself, it means that you are ready for a real relationship. Because why? Because it's no longer about the other person. It's no longer about the other person. It's about you, and you have accepted yourself. Okay? All your flaws. You've learned to accept and you've learned to love yourself, and you are ready. You are not here to wish to wish that somebody can fix you and love you the way you should be loved. So you get that out of the way, because once you have learned and accept yourself, you learn to love yourself the right way, and you are totally at peace with that. Then when that person comes in, the right person comes in, and if when the right person comes in, it will be much healthier. Because why? You're not looking for somebody else to fix you. Do you get what I mean? You're not, so no one is going to come to your life to fix you. You don't need that, because you are totally ready, and you're here to hold your hands together and embark on another journey, or to embark or continue your journey with this other person. And because of this union, you become better off as a couple. And that is a much, much healthier way. Okay? Now, to end the session, so how some of you may say, well, I find it very difficult to love others without an agenda. Meaning that it's very always conditional. There's too much fear. Then what I'll say is this: start with your family members. Start with your family members. That is easier for you to show unconditional love. Once you get the hang of it, okay, unconditional love, right? Always think unconditional love. Okay, love others the way they need to be loved, so that because of your love, they become a better person, they become more kind, they become more resilient, they become more aware of reality and not sheltered. Because a lot of times when we love somebody, especially related to us, we try to protect them, we want to shelter them, we don't want them to, quote unquote, suffer and be disappointed. Well, you see, I understand that, but are you preparing your loved ones for the real world? Because when you graduate, when you go out and get a job, it's really not as nice out there, because everyone has fears and insecurities. So when we empower or when we support our loved ones, we have to be very clear. Are we nurturing them to be independent? Are we nurturing them to be independent? Are we nurturing them to be kind? Are we nurturing them to be selfless, to be responsible, to love others without agenda, to operate from the true self? Are we nurturing them from there? Or are we nurturing them to be takers, to be self-centered? Okay, are we nurturing them to look at what is more important in life, like taking responsibility, like caring for others, like showing kindness, focusing out, being selfless. Are we nurturing them? If not, why not? Or are we always asking them, what do you want? What do you want to eat? What do you want to do during vacation? It's always about what do you want? See, that becomes very self centric. And that is where you nurture them to become extremely self centered. And hence, all the selfishness will arise. It's not their fault. It's just that we didn't nurture them to be selfless. That's all. Okay, so start from the family, and then from there, slowly branch off to perhaps your friends. Okay, and then from your friends, slowly branch off to people like your acquaintance. It can be people at work, your security guards, uh, people whom you see once in a while, but you don't really know them. But you see them on a regular basis. And then from there, you extend to people whom you absolutely do not know. And that's where charity comes in. Okay, so do that, and well, you can share with me how you feel. So, in a nutshell, take baby steps. It is very important to operate out of love, unconditional love for others, because that is the natural self. That is the natural self. And when you do that, I assure you, you have more clarity in your life. You will have less stress. You have less drama. Let's put it that way. You have less drama in your life, and your relationships with others, be it platonic or intimate, will become more fulfilling and much more joyful. Okay, so before I end today's session, I would like to thank our sponsors. So we have today our sponsors Anonymous, dedication dedicated towards all beings' liberation from suffering and attainment of compassion, wisdom, and true happiness. And the second sponsor is also Anonymous, dedication, may sentient beings be free of suffering and its causes. So if you enjoy our online program, do make a contribution. There's a link at the top of this video. Click on it and you can make a small contribution, and because your contribution will actually help us sustain our online programs with all of you. And last but not least, if you like this program, do share the link at the end of this program on your Facebook page, because you never know, who actually benefits from this. All right. So on that note, thank you very much, and we will continue with our closed session for at 9:45 p.m. Malaysian time. I'll do a closed session with all the participants on Google Meet, and that's where I will guide you on how to love others unconditionally, and I'll walk you through how we can do that. All right. So I'll see you next week. Bye bye.